Sai Ram. Today's talk may get extended by 5 or 10 minutes because we left one part in the last satsang which also has to be covered. Prabhu Charitra Sunibe ko Rasiya Ram Lakhan Sita Manbasiya. You feel extremely delighted in listening to Lord Rama's story and his conduct. Lord Rama, Mother Sita, and Lord Lakshmana dwell forever in your heart. Sunibe, listening, is nothing but Shravanam. If Shravanam is with 100% focus, it can result in a state where whatever listened is at once experienced inwardly. The impact of Shravanam is covered in Srimad Bhagavatam, where King Parikshit, aware of the death which was approaching him due to a curse, attains liberation just by listening to the story and glory of Sri Krishna, which is given to him by Sukhdev ji, Sage Sukha, as we call. Shravanam is most important process in devotion. Such focused Shravanam, Sunibe, results in Rasiya. Rasiya is nectarine experience. How can listening result in nectarine taste or experience? When the listening is total and wholesome, then one almost gets the experience of what one listens about God and His glories. He experiences what he listens. This experience is what is described as nectarine taste here. Like if we take bhajan singing, when one immerses totally in singing, he tastes the experience of the singing inward and tears roll by. This happens to us many times during the course of a bhajan, weekly bhajan. Like if you take the example of mango, when one explains about the quality of mango, having tasted it fully, and another one attentively listens to the same, the one listening is almost able to experience the sweetness of mango even before he eats it. Ram Lakhan Sita Manbasiya. Lord Rama represents knowledge, jnana. Mother Sita represents devotion, bhakti, and Lakshmana stands for sacrifice and dispassion, vairagya. Thus, in Hanuman, who is devoted to Rama, Sita and Lakshmana, we find the Triveni Sangamam, the union of all the three qualities or three aspects: knowledge, devotion and vairagya. Hanuman delights in listening to the glories of Lord, and he has Lord Sri Rama, Lakshmana and Mother Sita residing in his heart. Ram Katha is dearer to him than the company of the Lord himself. Like he has given this example many times, when late Sri Mohan Rao tells Swami, bless me with bhakti for you, love for you. I need more than you, that means more than your physical nearness. I need the devotion for you, never to diminish in me. And he, as he has quoted many times, he breathed last in the general hospital and Swami left in the midst of the bhajan hurriedly and gave the Ganges water 3 times into the mouth of Sri Mohan Rao, and his breathing stopped. Such is the devotion of such devotees, and such is the devotion of Hanuman referred here. Once it seems Sri Rama told him that he could go to Saketa Loka. We sing in bhajana Saketa Rama, the abode of the Lord. But when Hanuman learned that there was no singing of Rama Katha there, Hanuman refused the offer. In return, he asked for a boon. It is almost similar to what? Later on, centuries after what late Sri Mohan Rao asked. Hanuman asked for a boon that he should remain on earth as long as Ramakatha was sung. Sri Rama granted him this boon and added that as long as Ramayana would be sung, so long would the famous of Sri Hanuman also last. We move on to the next chopai. Very significant chopai. Every chopai is very significant for that matter. Sushmaroop dhari siyahi dikhawa, बिकट रूप धरी लंक जरावा, भीम रूप धरी असुर सहारे, रामचंद्र के काज संवारे. Taking a subtle form, you appeared in front of Mother Sita, and taking the formidable form, you burnt Lanka. Taking a massive form, Bhima Rupa, you slaughtered the demons. This way, you completed Lord Rama's tasks ever successfully. Hanuman takes various forms, sometimes small, sometimes very small, sometimes terrible, sometimes in the form of a Vanara, and sometimes mostly as a Vanara, and sometimes as Brahmin. Sushmaroop dhari siyahi dikhava. When Hanuman was in front of Sita for the first time, he took on a very small, childlike form of a small monkey. When he first discovered Sita in the Ashoka Vatika, she looked very sad and very weak from the ordeal she was going through. Approaching her in his large, mighty form would have scared and might have scared and distressed her. Initially, Hanuman drops Rama's ring in front of Ma Sita and starts singing Rama's glory to comfort her, and so that she would believe that he was a genuine sevak of Rama and not a servant of Ravana trying to play a trick on her. Because Ravana and many of his army men had this Maya Shakti to change to any form they liked. Hanuman's actions were sensible. His actions ensured that Sita would know that he was a genuine sevak of servant of Shri Ram. Also, it has another meaning. Howsoever powerful, howsoever wise a person like Hanuman may be, he should be or he must be childlike and humble in front of his parents, Guru, and virtuous persons, sages, saints, monks. On a mystical yogic interpretation, Sita is the power and grace of nature and creation. When approached with humility and sincerity, we are granted the blessings and secrets of creation. When approached with ego, ferocity, the blessings are withheld from us. Bikata Rupa Dhari Lanka Jarava. When Mother Sita has grave misgivings about the capability of monkeys, thinking that they all would be as small as Hanuman, he removes her doubt by revealing his colossal form, Vikataroop or Vikataroop. He shines like a mountain of gold, terrible in battle, possessing great might and full of valor, strength. Mother Sita's doubt is dispelled, and she feels gratified at heart. Then she bestows her blessings on him. May you become a repository of strength and virtue, dear child. Note, dear child. Okay, that is why in the first 4 lines he is revered as Bharanau Raghuvar, because Sita has addressed him as child. Ma says, may you ever remain immune from old age and death, and prove to be a storehouse of good qualities, my son. And may the Lord of the Raghus shower his abundant love on you. Hanuman feels totally fulfilled within. in contrast to the Sushmaroop which he took in front of Mother Sita. When Hanuman confronted the Rakshasa servants of Ravana, he burnt the city of Lanka and killed the Rakshasas, taking a mighty and awesome form. This teaches that people should stand up and be fierce when it comes to confronting negativity and evil, but be humble and kind otherwise. Whereas today we see exactly the opposite tendency. We see cowardly tendency when it comes to the society which bullies them, whereas we see arrogance in today's youth when it comes to behaving with their parents. Where we have to be humble, we are fierce, and where we have to be really fierce, we are cowards. On an inward mystical level, the message is that we should be ruthless and brutal in weeding out and confronting the demons within our hearts. The golden city of Lanka, which Hanuman burnt, represents illusory values and attachments which Hanuman-like qualities help us burn up or overcome. Bhim Roop Dhari Asura Sahare. Ravana knew only the language of power. Therefore, Hanuman assumes a mighty form and destroys the garden and kills the gods. When he is brought before Ravana and he is not given a seat, he elongates his tail and creates a seat for himself. Higher in height, higher than the demons Ravana's throne. He assumes an awesome form when setting fire to the city. When Ravana orders Hanuman's tails to be burnt, Hanuman continues to lengthen it until all the rags and all the ghee in Lanka are used up here. This Chaturata, Ati Chatur, that is exhibited. The moment his tail is set alight, he assumes a diminutive small form and so slips out of his bonds. Then he again assumes a terrible form, Bhimarupa, and leaps from building to building, setting ablaze the golden city of Lanka. Before the twinkling of an eye, Hanuman burnt the whole city except the house of Vibhishana. Goswami Tulasidas ji compares the burning of the city to an yajna, fire sacrifice. Lanka is the Havana Kunda. The buildings are like the wood or fuel. The demons are materials offered onto the fire. The Hanumanji's tail is a ladle. The heroic enemy are the special items such as butter, pudding, sweets, etc. that are offered to the fire. The high-pitched war cry of Shri Hanuman is the chanting of the mantras as oblations are made. Another interpretation of this fire is the fire of Mother Sita's sorrow. It is said that when a noble person is tortured, the fire of his sorrow that arises cannot be quenched. So it is said that the fire of Mother Sita's sorrow burnt Lanka into ashes. Tulasidas ji might have written this Chalisa purely out of devotion, not written immersed from within, purely out of devotion. But when we contemplate, there is so much that we get out of this devotional, poetic lines of this Chalisa. Hanuman, assuming a mighty form to burn down Ravana's Lanka, has a very deep inner meaning. He destroyed Ravana's palaces and forts. What does this signify? Lanka represents pleasures, material possessions, and indulgent life. Most of the people who lived there were demons, thinking themselves to be their body. They did everything for physical comforts and enjoyment. Hanuman destroyed the land of sensuality. He also had the right knowledge. I am not the body. Life is not meant only to pamper the body and indulge in pleasures and comforts. Thus, the fire of knowledge burnt down the entire city of ignorance, indulgence, body identification, and attachments. What it means to a spiritual aspirant. Let my identification with my body become so insignificant, so irrelevant, so small, Sushmaroop, so worthless in front of, or so humble in front of my Sadguru, in front of my God. Sigh. Let my body totally dissolve in my Guru, in my Sai. What has to be dissolved when we say let the body dissolve? The I-ness and the minus. Okay, the I-ness is the doership, the minus is the enjoyership. Let both of them associated with my body get dissolved in my Guru, in my God, when I face them. Sushmaroop dhari. If and only if it is dissolved thus, then only the next padav or the next step, the conviction to annihilate, burn our ignorance, shall take the Bikata Roop, mighty Roop, or the conviction will be a massive, a mighty conviction. And that conviction resulting in intense, paving way to intense sadhana, What is this conviction in the sadhana chatushtaya? It is the mumukshatva. Paving way, the sadhana actually starts after the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. And it paves way, pave way to an intense sadhana to burn my ignorance. Bhikata roopa dhari Lanka jarava. I must rise like Hanuman rose and destroy the ego with the fire of jnana, the fire of devotion, bhakti, like Hanuman burnt the city of Daman, Lanka. Let my mumukshatva culminating in my experiencing myself as pure awareness, and let that fire of pure awareness, let the luminosity in me, the jnana or the awareness in me, rise and pervade the entire creation. This will happen only upon dissolving, as it was covered earlier, the I-ness and the minus in the ocean of self, in the ocean of consciousness, or in the ocean of love, prema sagara, that my Sai verily is. What all burns, or what all must burn or must die in the Bhikata Rupa, my mumukshatva, my sadhana, or my realization, almost nearing to realization, these are all the things which must burn or must die. My desires, my I-ness and my minus, my vasanas, my expectations from anything in this creation, too much of my planning for anything, my subtlest hopes or expectations arising out of my being, my identity, my raga, my dvesha, my abhinivesha, and at last my avidya, if at all avidya is there. Everything, nothing is left out. Let everything get burned, like Lanka was burnt by Hanuman, who symbolizes Brahman. Before a God or Guru, subtle form, or be humble, like Hanuman's small roop in front of Sita, summarizing while fighting the inner enemies of ego and its manifestation, kleshas and vikara. It should be fierce, mighty, vikata, with which this should be fought. If one emerges victorious in the above fight, then one shines verily as Brahman, represented by Sun, Tat, Savitur. Thus, having emerged victorious in burning my ignorance with the fire of Brahmanyana, a beautiful dramatic visualization I go and I bow down to my Guru and God, as Hanuman did when he returned to Sri Rama, and like Hanuman said, contain Sitayai. Saw, I saw Mother Sita. Similarly, let me whisper to my Guru with utmost reverence, I have known that. I cannot say that I have known it, neither can I say I do not know it. I think I know it. Kenopanishad. I have discovered self. I know it means, O Master, with thy grace, I have experienced and discovered me as the self. My Guru would appreciate, would hug me like Rama hugged Hanuman. Let me prostrate at the feet of my Sadguru, my Sai, like Hanuman did at the feet of Sri Rama. Let me say that all thy grace, when Sri Rama asked, I think it was covered earlier in one of the chopais, where Sri Rama asks, how could you do all these things, Sri Hanuman? Hanuman says, all thy grace. Let me fall at my Guru's feet, without whom I would have never experienced myself to be the pure self, pure awareness, and say, O Master, Namo Namostute Guruve Mahatmane. Without you, I would not be where I, the bigger I self, am. What a beautiful visualization, if this is a visualization. And no other visualization can match this climax in a Guru Shishya Parampara. Ramachandra ke kaaj samare. Only at this state one is worthy enough to serve in God's mission. Ramachandra ke kaaj samare. Shivanandaji Maharaj goes to the extent of defining a true seva, true karma, action, through seva. He says that only the actions undertaken by the one who has realized self is a true seva. He is not explaining it because it would become a separate satsang if he starts sharing on this. Ramachandra ke kaaj samare. Hanumanji completes all the tasks of Sri Rama with perfection. This is an important pointer to the seeker. In the service of our Guru and our God, everything must be done to perfection. Sadhakas, in the service of Guru and God, everything must be done to perfection, nothing but the best. There is no room for hasty work or sloppiness or lethargy or excuses. The external presentations or a fair indication of the mind of the seeker. Yad bhavam tad bhavati. The more refined the mind, the more aesthetic, perfect and orderly will be the service to God. Ramachandra ke kaaj samare. This particular chopai and this satsang should be etched into your very deep sattvic memory as a very significant lesson. When it comes to serving the Lord, the Guru, and when it comes to sadhana. Jai Siya Ram. पवन सुत हनुमान जी की जय. भगवान परिपूर्ण अवतार श्री सत्य साई भगवान की जय.